Formula One, the latest film from Joseph Kosinski, who directed Top Gun Maverick, the worldwide billion-dollar box office starring Tom Cruise, comes back with a very in-the-driver's-seat race car F1 Formula One driving movie that delivers both a pulse and a fun, thrilling, competitive ride. Apple, they did it. I mean, Apple and Warner Brothers delivers a big one here. I think it's going to do very well. Hopefully audiences respond because I enjoyed myself. I know that they were working on time crunches as far as like getting in with only doing X amount of minutes between these actual Grand Prix races, 10 up to 20, as low as 10 minutes. I got to say, man, Apple needed this to win, and I hope we'll see down the road, but I think it was a success for sure. Brad Pitt plays Sonny Hayes, who was a once future F1 champion all-star who, after a life-threatening injury, had to step away from the sport. Now, 30 years later, one of his racing companions and friend, Javier Bardem, owns a team, calls in, as an act of desperation, needing a front driver, needing that guy to come in and get his team on the points, get some points on the board, with Damnson Idris playing at second driver. His character very much being the immature, arrogant but talented, very brash driver. He's not an easy guy to get along with. So naturally, two alpha males come together. The story is about circumventing this, older generation, younger generation, having to work together genuinely in a very team-driven sport. Everyone has to fire on all cylinders, from the pit crew to the engineers, all the way to the head mechanics, and everybody calling the shots from the booth, and down to the driver ultimately to execute these feats of engineering, which are these F1 cars on these tracks to win these races. There are a few areas that kind of knocked me out, like I don't know if this is necessary. One is the fact that Damnson was almost unbelievably too, arrogant or too immature, in the sense of like, since this is such a team sport and they push it over and over, team, because Brad himself is also comes in, devil may care, runs it his way, reckless abandon, all that kind of stuff. Damson's character is so unlikable that I don't see how, even with his talent, he would be on favor for any team to take him on as a driver, because he's just so, even the way that he interacts with his pit crew, it's like nobody likes this guy. And it takes Brad coming in, even though he's in his own sort of, but in a far more charming sort of devil may care, reckless way, corrals the team through runs. And so he's a magnetic character, whereas Damnson is quite repellent in his presentation. The showboaty, very much of the times, new age athlete, decked out, obviously living the lifestyle. And Brad being the hard-nosed traditionalist, lives in a van, does it by his own rules, doesn't take any crap, he can't be bought. So you have these two opposing forces trying to work together in order to save this team. Javier Bardem plays a great team owner on the edge, who has to smile for the camera, but at the end is like very nervous, knowing that his job and his livelihood is on the line, and it's about him and Brad finding this way forward as these two older, almost in the old ways of this generation, trying to have some part of legacy in the sport that they've dedicated literally their lives to. Kerry Condon plays a great mad scientist. Really, this whole thing is about their team has less resources and slower, cars. And so she's this like, how do you Frankenstein build this amazing F1 car in the lab, carbon, things like that, in order to make sure that they can compete. Because right now they're too slow. So with her and Brad, it's this cool thing of like, we've got to use what we can. And it makes for a cool, genuine, authentic progression of like how this team that is not going to be the fastest manages and plays chess by defense and by team. And in the end, there is this cool sort of switching of mentality between him and Damnson, and ultimately the team does what it needs to do, saves the day in a very realistic, grounded way that makes for a great payoff. The second thing I'm not quite sold on was like, I don't know if we needed a love interest between Brad Pitt and Kerry Condon's characters. I could see why you would, formulaically or thematically, like this guy, like, let's have somebody kiss, in the sense of like with Top Gun, where it was like, yeah, I get it, but like if that didn't happen, the story would be fine. So those are the only two things. Damnson being a bit too much of like a almost an unbelievably unlikable character to where I wouldn't see anybody wanting to root for his success, and the love interest scene between Brad and Kerry Condon, because he is still he's an island, he's a man on his own path, he's cheated death multiple times. There's something that he still needs. There's like this insatiable pursuit and passion to win, to race, to run, and chart forward. And so he packs light and he keeps it moving. So you got to give it to the guy. The guy comes in, does his thing, he's uncompromising to a degree. He's collaborative when he needs to be, but it's very much like, he'll accept it if he agrees with it. Otherwise, listen, man, the whole movie is on this whole Hail Mary situation. Like, he's a Hail Mary, bringing him in to try and save this team. And despite efforts to sabotage them further on, the team Apex comes out to win it from at the last minute. Again, in a very believable way, both cars having to, Damnson and Brad having to do what they can with the cars they have, this issue of tires and this issue of like time on track and manipulating the track and playing defense and slowing other cars so they can gain positions. The movie does a great job of not bogging you down with details in a way that takes you out of it, but like keeps the stakes very front and center. These set pieces they take up, you're so engrossed in them that you don't realize that they could be 10 minutes, 15-minute long sequences, but at the same time you're like, good, we're here, this is the point, let's get a full payoff, show me what it's like, put me in the driver's seat, let's do this, like take me into this world. And while the runtime is what you don't feel it in the sense of like, it's almost like you're fully invested. Like if we're here for a race, if this is a racing movie, I gotta see some races. What does it feel like these races to be in? And while those are the big chunks of the film, it's built around these set pieces and these action sequences. It totally works. The quick pan and these camera moves while in the cars. Obviously, the technological feat to do this, similar to Top Gun. It services the story, doesn't detract from it. It's not overly technical, and you completely buy in to like this world and in the story that they're telling. Go see it. I totally would recommend. Like and subscribe. Help the channel grow. More reactions, more reviews, and until next time, get out and see some movies.